All right, hello and welcome back, everybody. Sir Adrian here to film the American turn in our current game of Global Empires 1915, titled Operation Growing Storm, where we are in the fall winter 1919. Quick housekeeping. I noticed looking at the save, as the veteran pointed out, I had repaired this the last turn, but they couldn't have come out of port because you can't bring them out of port on the same turn that you repair the facility. These two, however, weren't part of that fleet, so they should already be at sea here. These two transports, they came from up here. And something else I was noticing, which this is a mistake on my part, which I just catching now because it's the first ships I've built here. But I had said I had built the last turn these two transports here, but I'm looking at it and I'm realizing that this is a major port, so you actually can't construct ships at ports or dockyards. They're only built at shipyards. So they would have had to have been built either in well, it wouldn't be this one because that's under occupation, but up in New York or something like that, like around here. So we'll move those back up here for now. And I would have had those in port when I had built them. So we'll say they're there. That's my own mistake. So going forward, I'll have to make sure that um, yeah, it doesn't help with like the 3D. Like on the actual 1914 map that myself and B Nasty have been working on for our 1914 games, and which looks super great. You have the actual symbols printed for the different facilities, so it's easier, excuse me, to tell what's what. But that's fine. Actually, is that okay? Oh yeah, okay. So it could be built at that one. Not that it would matter, but we're gonna move those, so we'll just leave them there. Otherwise, that's it. Yeah, for housekeeping. So these have to be removed. Yeah, just that one. So otherwise, the U.S. has one, two, three major factories plus the freebie roll. So they are gonna go for uh, hmm, try doctrine in the naval domain. That's a success. So they move to stage 3, amphibious assault doctrine. They will try for artillery. A 5, that's a success. So they move to hurricane bombardment. They will try for armor. That's a success. So they move to stage 4. So I think, okay, light armor. So I think they get motorcycles, so 2 free units for that. And then one more roll. For that one, we'll go for, try to go for bombers. And that's a success. There you go. Pretty good. 4 out of 4. So early bombers. So we'll go ahead and update that before I forget. So the Americans will get an early bomber they can place. They will get uh, light armor, so I think they get a light tank. And then with that other change, they should get a motorcycle unit. Do we actually have one of those? Foreign Legion. Uh, okay, if I'm wrong and this isn't what we use, then I'll grab something else. But I'm assuming that's what we use. So I'll actually just use the yellow marker like that. I'm fine with that. Would be cool though if we could import like an actual motorcycle unit in future versions. Anyways, so that's that. Purchases, the Americans have 32 IPP to spend. So these are for units. Put those to the side. So they're buying a fighter for 10, two colonial infantry for 2 each. Actually, I just want to double check. Yeah, okay. Yeah, 2 colonial, an early infantry for 3, heavy artillery for 7, early tank for 5, and actually, let's just see if light armor is any more, seeing as I unlocked that. Ooh, that's actually 4. Oh, it has higher movement but attacks less. No, we'll keep it at. Yeah, so for 5, diplomacy attempt on Japan for 2 IPP and 1 on Peru for 1 IPP. And we have a freebie too. Okay. So we'll go for Japan. Red will be for Peru. And for the freebie, I'll try to go for Bolivia. Change this to a yellow. Or some kind of yellow. Alright, so we're trying to bring all of these up, so we need a 3 or less. And nothing. So that's that. Attacks, we'll have a couple. Let's see. So we'll have the coastal sub and A-35 raid the East Atlantic line. So I'll go ahead and do that. Black will be for the attacker. Red's the defender. And again, so many techs, so let's just double check, but I think it gives them a +1. Anti-submarine warfare, +1 to their convoy roll. Yeah, okay. And then he gets the die roll at 2. So yeah, black attacker, red defender. And our dice is just at +1 as well. Okay, so it's a 6 to for us to his 7, so that does no damage, and he gets his defense roll at a 2. Oof, very close, but not quite. So that battle's done. On the East African line we'll raid, so we'll go for the coastal sub first. Black, the attacker. So 4 to 4, because he has +1 as well, so no damage there. He gets his defense roll. Missed. Then we'll raid that line with the submarines. We have +2. Same thing, black's the attacker. So 5 to our 8. So we do 1 damage. So push down 41. He gets his defense roll at a 2. Ooh, pretty close both times. Oh yeah, this one was sunk the last turn. Okay, so that's it for the rating. Other attacks, we will have all these units attack into San Francisco. So yeah, no terrain effects aside from, okay, not for this one either. So yeah, no terrain effects for anything. So we can go ahead and move all this to the battle board. And the defenders. So these are all in cities, so his units will be at +1. And I think they have target select at a 1. I forget that. We'll double check quick. City. City. Defense, manpower. Straits. Okay, yeah, so cities give +1 defense on all rounds of combat for infantry class units, and target select at a 1 against vehicle class units. Is surrounded by case not units. Okay, so +1 defense on all rounds of combat. Target selection at a 1 versus vehicle class units. Okay. So we're gonna have our 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 cavalry. They will all be at a 2. Yep, early cavalry at a 2. We have an artillery, early artillery rather, at a 3. And then a heavy at a 6. And 2 early infantry at a 1. We'll boost one of the cavalry to a 3 with one of the artillery and another to a 3 with the other heavy artillery. And then defending, he would have all these units defending at 2 because of that boost. And then the 2 fighters, let's see, his artillery at a 4, I believe, on defense. Nope, 3 as well. 3 as well. And then the 2 early fighters, I think those are at a 3. Yeah, defend at a 3 as well. All right, so first we'll do the first strike. So we have 1 at 6, which would be this blue one, and 1 at 3, which would be this, oh, whoops. I knew we had more infantry than that. I was going to say, okay, so these are all at a 1. Okay, so this blue dice will be for the heavy at a 6. This will be for the regular artillery on the first strike. Nothing. He has 3 first strikes at 3. Of course, 2 hits. We'll lose 2, yeah, 2 regular infantry. So then we have 3 regular infantry at 1, 1, 2, 3, 4 cavalry at 2, and then 2 cavalry. Here, we'll make these a different color. And then 2 cavalry at 3. So 1 hit. Doesn't really matter, but he'd probably lose either, well, militia or colonial, but probably the militia. Then he gets to respond, so he has the 2 fighters at 3. Nothing. And then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 militia. Well, or 1 militia and the colonial at 2. So 1 hit. So he'd lose that. We'll lose a cavalry. And then we retreat. It's fall winter, so that battle is over. As does he. These are all back in San Francisco. Then we'll retreat 2 infantry into the southwestern U.S., 1 infantry and a heavy artillery into the western United States. Retreat an artillery into here. And 3 cavalry into there. And 2 cavalry into here. So there we go. That battle's done. The other battle we'll have is into Washington, D.C. So for that one, we'll have a fighter flying over. It'll have 1 movement left to land. We'll have 2 mountain infantry. We'll actually leave that infantry. We'll bring another mountain infantry. Bring actually here, so we'll set these up individually because there's going to be some terrain effects for some of these. Okay, so the fighter's not going to have any terrain effects. These guys crossing from Appalachia won't have any terrain effects. These 3 cavalry and that unit. This cavalry from New Orleans won't either. So the mountain will be at a 2. Cavalry will be at a 2. Fighter will be at a 6. Oh, sorry, early mountain infantry is at a 1, not a 2. These two mountain infantry, well, they're at a 1 regardless, so it doesn't matter. And then these ones doesn't have any sort of penalty. And that cab doesn't have a penalty. That will be at a 2. These will all be at a 1. And they'll be facing the 96th Army, where they'll have their 1 artillery to 3, their okay, so second generation infantry, they'd be at a, okay, defending at a 4 plus 1, so they would be at a 5. And the British, the Marines, at a 4, so they would be at a 5 as well, because of the effects of the city. And then the militia, they would be at a 2. Or at a 3, sorry, yeah, 3 because of the city. So they would be at a 3. Okay, so we don't have any first strikes. He does have the 1 at a 3. Okay, so miss. And we get to go, so we'll roll our 1, 2, 3, 4 mountain infantry at 1. Our 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 cavalry at 2. No hits. And then our one fighter at 6. Okay, so 1 hit with the fighter. He gets his 3 militia, defending at 3. So 1 hit. And then 4 regular infantry. And the Marine at a 5. So 1 hit, so 2 hits total. So he suffered 1 hit. He would probably just lose a militia, I'd imagine, because everything else is a lot more valuable and expensive. But he can always change that if that's not the case. And I take 2 hits, so I'd lose we'll lose 2 cavalry. And then this all goes back. We'll land the fighter in Appalachia. Put one of the mountain infantry back in Appalachia. Two back in the Great Lakes. One in the Northeast. Put a cavalry in Appalachia. Put one cavalry in the... Actually, I'll put two cavalry in the Northeast. Yeah, that's fine. Okay, so that battle's done. Then the only other battle we'll have is we'll do a walk-on attack with these two tanks into the Carolinas, and or actually no, sorry, we won't do that. That'll still be under British occupation. So the last attacks we'll have, we'll have one of these transports. We'll pick up yeah, they'll pick up an infantry unit and an early tank. They'll move to A40 a space, along with a dreadnought and pre-dreadnought. Pre-dread could move one. They'll attempt to amphibiously assault into Columbia. I just want to see. You do not suffer double casualty in the first combat round when amphibious assaulting. Okay, so they don't suffer double casualties. So we have to bombard first. So we have our dreadnought bombarding at a 2. Yeah, at a 2. And then the pre-dreadnought offshore bombardment at a 2 as well. So I'll roll that out. So this will be for the, well, they're both at 2, so we'll just roll both like that. Hey, success. That's the hit we needed. So Colombian infantry is eliminated. And the American forces land in Colombia. That's worth an IPP. It goes up to 32. And then everyone will get a free diplomacy roll because of that. What other attacks? And we wanted with this transport to bring an early infantry and a cavalry and move down a space, I think. No, 2 spaces, and not the cavalry. The early infantry and the tank in these. So they want to move 1, 2 down to here. Oh, we can't move that cruiser. Along with 2 early cruisers. Just gonna move 3 spaces. There we go. They move down 2 as well. And they're going to attempt to amphibiously assault Ecuador. So the 2 early cruisers, they offshore bombard on a 1. That's a miss. So we have our early infantry offloading, attacking at a 1. Miss. And the militia defending at a 2. And that's a miss. And we can't press the attack. So that will be it. But Ecuador was attacked, so it should align to the closest power, which I believe is the Germans in this case. And they might be at war, so unless I'm doing this wrong, I think Germany goes up by 1. And that Ecuadorian militia becomes a German militia. And then Germany and the others would get a second diplomacy roll for that as well. Otherwise, we'll move 2 pre-dreadnoughts, 1 space. The 2 transports that were in port, they'll actually pick up these units. So those 2 transports, one of them will move a space over here. They'll do a walk-on attack into the Bahamas. Do a walk-on attack. Okay, no, it'll keep its... Actually, it'll drop a unit off in Guantanamo Bay. No, it'll just drop both off in the Bahamas. As you know, here we'll just have the cavalry instead. The one transport will just be transporting the 1 cavalry. It'll drop that off in the Bahamas. The other transport that was in this sea zone will move 1, 2 spaces, and it will drop off a unit in the Leeward Islands and 1 on the Windward Islands. And it will have the torpedo boat and the early cruiser go to join it down there. And the 2 pre-dreadnoughts, they'll just move 1 space to join these guys down here. So here we'll just do that for simplicity's sake. There we go. So everyone, yeah, will get 2 diplomacy rolls for the attack on Colombia, and then the one on Ecuador as well. Otherwise, that's it for the American turn. IPP will collect 32, plus the 1 in trade with Venezuela for 33 for the next turn. And it's just placing units. So the fighter will build that in Rio. Build an infantry in Rio. Build a colonial in Katinga. Build a colonial in Rio. The early tank will build in, or no, the light armor will build in New York. The early bomber will build in the Great Lakes. Early tank will build, or the artillery will build in New Orleans. And the early tank will build in the Midwest. And the motorcycle marker, I'm not sure if that's factory or just placed like that. If it just uses a manpower, we'll build it in Appalachia, but if you have to place it at a factory, we'll just build it at the Great Lakes as well. Otherwise, that is it for the American turn, and we can hand things on over to the Germans.